The Galactic Council's chamber was vast and cold, filled with rows of glowing panels and chairs carved from alien metals. Hundreds of council members from different worlds had gathered to discuss the latest intelligence about Earth. Most of them laughed quietly, thinking of humans as weak and unimportant. But then the lights in the chamber flickered. A deep hum filled the room. A sudden coldness ran through the council members' spines. No one had seen anything like this before. From the center of the chamber, a shadow began to form. Slowly, a figure emerged, not flesh, not metal, but a glowing entity, ancient and powerful. Its eyes glowed like distant stars. The council fell silent. Even the boldest members felt fear. "I am the guardian of forgotten worlds," the entity said, its voice echoing in every mind simultaneously. "I bring a warning. Earth should not be challenged." Some members laughed nervously. "Do you speak of humans? They are primitive, weak. What threat could they possibly be?" one of them asked. The entity's glow intensified. "They are more than you see. They are stronger than the council knows. Many have tried to destroy them. All failed. All perished. Listen carefully. Do not provoke Earth. To do so is to invite disaster." A young council member named Thaler from the planet Kryn stepped forward cautiously. He had always respected the stories of ancient entities, but even he had never witnessed one in person. "Why now? Why warn us at this moment?" he asked. The entity's voice softened, yet it carried a weight that made every word feel like a hammer striking stone. "The time approaches when Earth will rise. As people are awakening. Those who attack before understanding will face consequences beyond their imagination. Heed my warning, Council. Choose wisely." A low murmur spread across the chamber. Some members still tried to dismiss the entity's warning. "It is old. It fears change. It wants to control us," said one of the council leaders. But Thaler noticed something troubling. Hidden in the light around the entity were faint shapes, like shadows of cities and strange machines, moving with a force he could not understand. He realized this was not empty threat. The ancient being had knowledge, power, that the council could not measure. Suddenly, the entity raised a hand, and a holographic vision appeared above the chamber. It showed Earth from space, but not as the council had seen it before. Faint lines of energy stretched across the planet, glowing like veins of light. Cities sparkled, but not in the way of ordinary human cities. There was something alive beneath the surface, something waiting. "You see what they can become," the entity said. "You see what happens to those who attack without caution. The outcome is always the same." A whisper of fear passed through the council. They had seen galaxies conquered, civilizations erased, but humans? They were supposed to be insignificant. Yet now the truth could not be ignored. Thaler felt a chill. He remembered ancient texts on his home planet, legends that spoke of Earth's protectors, forces older than the oldest stars. Could it be true? Could humanity really hold such power in the galaxy? The entity began to fade, leaving behind a trail of silver light that lingered in the chamber. Its last words hung in the air, heavy with warning. "Do not underestimate them. Do not attack. Earth is not what it seems." As the entity vanished completely, silence filled the room. The council members looked at each other, some shocked, some angry, others scared. No one dared speak first. Finally, the leader of the council, Vorin, cleared his throat. "Prepare a report. We must decide what to do. But we will not act hastily." His words were calm, but Thaler could see the tension in his eyes. Outside the chamber, Earth rotated silently in the distance. The planet seemed ordinary at first glance, a blue and green gem in the blackness of space. But the faint energy lines the entity had shown were real, shimmering invisibly, waiting. On the surface, humans went about their lives, unaware that eyes from distant stars watched them. They did not know that the council debated whether to challenge their world. They did not know that an ancient force had already spoken. And for now that force had chosen to warn, not destroy. But how long would the council listen? How long before curiosity, or arrogance, led someone to test Earth's limits? Thaler stayed behind after the meeting ended, gazing at the empty space where the entity had appeared. He whispered to himself, "They are not ready. No one is ready, not yet." Far above, in the darkness of space, Earth's faint energy pulsed once more, like a heartbeat. And in that pulse there was promise and danger. The warning had been given. Now the galaxy would wait and watch. The council chamber had emptied, but the weight of the ancient entity's warning lingered like a storm cloud. The leaders left the room, whispering to each other, debating the meaning of Earth's hidden power. Some wanted to ignore it. Others were deeply afraid. Thaler remained behind, his eyes fixed on the empty space where the entity had appeared. He could still feel its presence like a shadow pressing against his mind. Earth, it is not what we thought, he murmured. They hide something. Something dangerous. Meanwhile, the council on their separate planets began secret discussions. A few ambitious leaders, led by Vorin, considered sending a small fleet to Earth. They argued that humans were primitive and would not notice or resist. We need proof, Vorin insisted. If they are truly insignificant, this will be easy. But not everyone agreed. Lyria, a young diplomat from the distant star system Zyra, spoke quietly to Thaler in a private holo communication. I cannot ignore the warning. I have seen the signs before. The entity does not lie. Humans may seem weak, but the universe does not underestimate what it fears. Thaler nodded. He felt a shiver run down his spine. He knew that the council's arrogance could lead to disaster. But how could he convince the others? How could he stop a fleet of warships already preparing to leave? Back on Earth, life continued as usual. Cities glimmered under the sunlight, people laughed and children played. But hidden beneath the surface, unseen by any human eye, faint pulses of energy moved through the planet's crust. A mysterious rhythm as if Earth itself were alive and aware. The council fleet prepared in secret. Ships cloaked themselves in stealth fields, shields humming with power. Commanders joked about humans' weakness. By the time they notice us, it will be too late, said one officer, laughing. But Thaler's visions kept haunting him. That glow the entity had shown, the lines of energy stretching across Earth, were not natural. Something old and powerful slept there, and if provoked, the consequences could ripple across the stars. In his quarters, Thaler studied ancient texts stored in the council archives. Stories spoke of worlds that had tried to dominate others, only to vanish in flames of their own making. Each time, a lesser civilization had surprised the conquerors with a hidden strength. And each time the same warning had appeared, carved into ruins and languages older than memory: do not provoke the innocent. Do not challenge the underestimated. Thaler's communicator beeped. It was Lyria. I have discovered something, she said urgently. Humans are not just survivors. Their minds, their technology, it is growing faster than anyone expected. If the council fleet arrives, they will not be ready for what comes. The warning hung between them. Thaler could feel it pressing against his chest. He realized the council was walking blindly toward disaster. Meanwhile, aboard the council flagship, Admiral Zorith studied Earth from orbit. Through the telescopic lenses, the planet looked peaceful, almost fragile. Easy prey, he whispered to himself. He did not notice the faint glow pulsing from beneath the surface, subtle but alive. That night, far away on Earth, strange phenomena occurred. Power grids flickered briefly. Satellites registered unexplained energy surges. No one could explain it. Only the planet seemed aware that something was coming. Back on the council, Thaler tried one last time to warn them. If you proceed, you will face consequences beyond imagination, he said to the leaders, his voice trembling with fear. I have seen the warning. I have read the signs. Earth is not weak. It is awake. Most ignored him. Some laughed. Only Lyria listened closely, her eyes wide with worry. The fleet moved. Cloaked and silent, it began its journey toward Earth. The council felt confident. They believed in their technology, in their superiority. They did not see what Thaler and Lyria saw: faint pulses of light deep in the oceans and forests beneath mountains. Earth was alive. Earth was ready. And somewhere, hidden from sight, the ancient entity's presence lingered. A whisper traveled across space, unheard by the council but felt in the core of Earth. Do not test them. Do not provoke what you do not understand. The council fleet approached silently. But on the planet below, the humans were already sensing something: strange vibrations, unusual patterns in nature, a feeling in their hearts that something was watching. Thaler watched from afar, knowing the next days would decide the fate of countless worlds. The council's arrogance might awaken a force even they could not control. And deep inside him, he feared that the ancient entity's warning was already too late. For now, Earth remained calm, unaware that eyes from the stars had turned toward it. But beneath the calm, the planet pulsed with life, with power, with secrets that no council could hope to fully grasp. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. The council fleet moved silently through space, cloaked in layers of invisible shields. From afar, Earth looked peaceful, a small blue world floating in darkness, unaware of the danger above. The council leaders were confident. They had not faced a civilization like humans, yes, but they believed it would be easy to test them. On Earth, life continued as normal. Cities glittered, forests swayed, oceans shimmered. But there were subtle signs that the planet itself was not as ordinary as it seemed. Electrical grids flickered briefly, birds flew erratically, and in quiet laboratories, scientists noticed strange anomalies in energy readings. Among them was Dr. Elena Reyes, a young astrophysicist. She had been monitoring unusual signals coming from space, patterns no telescope or satellite should have detected. "It's like someone is watching us, or something is moving near us," she whispered to her assistant, eyes wide with concern. Meanwhile, in the Council fleet, Admiral Zorth prepared for reconnaissance. "We will observe, not attack, yet," he said, though a shadow of doubt crept into his voice. The Council had underestimated Earth once, but the entity's warning still echoed in some minds, like a distant storm warning. As the fleet approached orbit, strange phenomena began to occur. Invisible pulses of energy stretched from Earth, interacting with the ship's systems. Lights flickered, shields hummed strangely, and navigation instruments registered phantom readings. Some of the crew laughed nervously, assuming technical errors. Others felt an uneasy chill, though they could not explain why. Back on Earth, Dr. Reyes' instruments picked up the fleet. At first, she thought it was a satellite, but the readings were too massive, too organized. She ran simulations, heart pounding. "These are not satellites, they're warships," she said. Her voice trembled, but she didn't know if anyone would believe her. High above the planet, the fleet moved cautiously. Zorth thought humans would panic, flee, or beg for peace. He did not account for the subtle defenses the planet had developed over millennia. Earth itself seemed aware. Subtle, invisible forces nudged the ship's systems, guiding, confusing, warning. Suddenly, a holographic image appeared on the fleet's main screen, a shimmering, ghostly projection of the ancient entity. Its presence filled the command room, and even the bravest officers froze. "I warned you once," the voice echoed, deep and powerful. "Do not challenge Earth. Do not provoke what you do not understand." Some laughed nervously. "It is only a projection, an illusion," muttered one officer. Others whispered that they felt an energy pressing against their minds, a silent power that could not be measured by technology. On Earth, Dr. Reyes' instruments began picking up faint signals, like pulses from deep inside the planet. She could feel it resonating in her chest, a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. Something ancient, something alive, was stirring. The Council fleet's cloaking shields began to fail. Lights flickered. Communication channels glitched. Instruments went haywire. Zorth banged his fist against the console. "What is happening?" Unseen forces nudged the fleet slowly away from its intended path. It was subtle at first, small course deviations, but then one of the smaller ships lost all power entirely. The crew panicked, unable to restart the engines. Another ship reported a strange energy surge that overloaded its shields. Thaler, watching from his station on a distant moon, felt dread. "They are awakening," he muttered. He knew humans were not yet aware of the full extent of their own power, but Earth itself was ready to defend its people. Meanwhile, Lyria sent a secret message to Dr. Reyes, through a network of hidden channels. "They are coming," the message read. "Prepare. Do not attack, but be ready. The Council fleet underestimates your strength." The human scientist stared at her screen, heart racing. She did not fully understand what was happening, but she sensed one truth: Earth was alive, and whatever force protected it would not tolerate intruders. Above, the Council fleet faltered. Zorth's confidence was crumbling. The ships that had seemed invincible were now vulnerable to a power they could not see, a force they could not measure. For the first time, fear gripped the hearts of the Council leaders. And deep within the planet, energy pulsed stronger, preparing, waiting, responding. Humans were unaware of the full battle that had begun in orbit. But the warning of the ancient entity echoed clearly through space. "Do not challenge Earth. Do not provoke what you do not understand." The first contact had been made, but it was not as the Council had imagined. Earth did not fight with weapons. It fought with something far older, far more powerful, and entirely unseen. The galaxy was about to witness a force it had never imagined. And somewhere, a young scientist on Earth looked up at the sky, feeling the pulse of her planet, and the Council fleet hovered above Earth, silent and tense. Ships gleamed under the sun, their engines humming with deadly potential. Yet something strange was happening. Systems glitched. Shields faltered. Even the bravest officers felt unease crawling through their minds. The ancient entity's warning was no longer a distant echo, it was a growing reality. On Earth, Dr. Elena Reyes worked frantically. She had received Lyria's secret message and now knew that the Council fleet was near. But she also sensed something else. Something unseen yet powerful was stirring beneath the planet's surface. The energy pulses that had been faint were now stronger, like a heartbeat quickening in anticipation. Elena gathered a small team of scientists and engineers. "We don't know exactly what's coming," she said, voice trembling with urgency. "But the planet, it's alive. And it seems to want to protect us." Outside, strange phenomena continued. Forests swayed as if in a synchronized dance, oceans shimmered with bursts of light, and the wind carried a subtle hum that humans could not explain. It was as if Earth itself was communicating, preparing, warning. Above, the Council fleet's confidence began to crumble. Ships that had been thought invincible suddenly experienced malfunctions. Smaller crafts lost power entirely. Navigation systems twisted erratically. Zorith slammed his fists on the console, fury and fear battling in his eyes. "Impossible," he shouted. "We have the technology. How can this be happening?" Thaler, observing from his station on a distant moon, felt a cold dread. He knew that humans had latent abilities, yes, but the true power was not just theirs, it belonged to the planet itself. And now the planet had awakened. In secret, Lyria reached out again, this time directly communicating with Dr. Reyes. "Do not panic," she said. "They cannot harm Earth while it defends itself. You are safe, but prepare. You may need to guide them." Elena and her team worked quickly. They noticed that when humans were near certain energy sources, the planet's pulses grew stronger. Strange crystals deep underground, mysterious energy nodes in forests, even ancient ruins seemed to hum with life. The humans had unknowingly become conduits of Earth's power. Back in orbit, the Council fleet attempted to regain control. They fired warning beams, hoping to intimidate. Yet, the beams fizzled in mid-space, diverted by invisible forces. Some ships began drifting out of formation, confused and helpless. On Earth, Elena felt a sudden surge of energy in her chest. The pulses were stronger now, almost like Earth was speaking through her. "We can do this," she whispered to her team. Fear was still present, but now it was mixed with awe and determination. In the Council chamber far from Earth, members whispered urgently. "Perhaps the entity was right," one said. "We underestimated them. We underestimated Earth." Zorith refused to believe it. "They are humans. Primitive, insignificant. This is impossible." But even as he spoke, more ships faltered. Systems overloaded. Communications glitched. The fleet was becoming disorganized, no longer in control. On the planet's surface, humans watched the sky as strange lights danced above them. They could feel the presence of something ancient, powerful, and protective. Even those who did not know what was happening felt a strange connection, a heartbeat beneath the ground, a silent promise that they were not alone. Thaler observed quietly. He had hoped to stop the fleet before it could act, but now he realized it was too late. The Council's arrogance had awakened a force they could not understand, a force that was not human, yet working with humans. Above Earth, the first minor skirmishes began, not with weapons but with strange disruptions. Ships spun out of orbit. Lasers failed mid-flight. Communications were scrambled. And through it all, the planet's hidden power remained calm, precise, and unstoppable. The fleet was learning a harsh lesson. Earth did not need armies to defend itself. It had patience, intelligence, and a power older than the stars. The humans, now beginning to understand their connection, were becoming active participants in the defense. The ancient entity's words echoed in Thaler's mind, "Do not challenge Earth. Do not provoke what you do not understand." Now the Council fleet was facing the consequences of their arrogance. The humans below watched the sky with cautious eyes. The first contact had already begun, and for the first time, they understood that their planet was alive in ways they had never imagined. But what they did not yet know was how far this force would go to protect them, and how quickly the Council would learn that underestimating Earth was a fatal mistake. And somewhere deep within the planet, the pulse grew stronger, a silent roar building beneath the surface, waiting for the moment it would no longer hold back. The battle for respect, survival, and cosmic understanding had begun. The Council fleet trembled above Earth. Ships that had once seemed invincible now drifted, powerless, buffeted by forces they could not see or measure. Officers shouted orders, but the commands went unanswered. It was as if the planet itself had taken control, and no one in the fleet could resist. On Earth, Dr. Elena Reyes and her team were starting to understand the truth. The planet's energy pulses had grown so strong that they could feel it in their own bodies. Machines that monitored energy fluctuations lit up with readings beyond imagination. Elena realized that humans were not alone, they were connected to something far greater, something ancient and protective. Lyria's message reached Elena again. "The Council underestimates your strength," it read. "The time has come to show them. Do not fight to destroy but show that you are not powerless." Elena looked out at the sky. The fleet above seemed intimidating, but she felt a surge of confidence. For the first time she understood what the ancient entity had meant. Humans had the ability to channel Earth's power, not just technology but something far older. The planet itself was their shield, their weapon, and their guide. High above, the council leaders began to panic. "They are controlling the fleet," shouted one officer. "This is impossible. How can humans, primitive humans, have such power?" Admiral Zoratha's face went pale. He tried to order a retreat, but some of the ships refused to move, trapped by forces they could not see. Systems failed. Weapons misfired. It was as if the entire fleet had been subdued without a single human firing a shot. On Earth, strange phenomena lit up the planet. Mountains glowed faintly, rivers shimmered with energy, and forests swayed in unison, like a living network of protection. Humans could feel the planet communicating, its pulse stronger than ever. They began to experiment carefully, using simple devices to amplify the energy. Lights and machines reacted instantly as if Earth itself was listening to them. Thaler watched silently from his station on a distant moon. This is beyond anything I expected," he whispered. The entity was right. Humans are more than they seem, and Earth is alive in ways no one can measure." The council began to plead for understanding. Some leaders, terrified, sent messages begging for peace. Others considered surrender. They had thought themselves rulers of the galaxy, but now they faced a truth they could not comprehend. Above the planet, the pulse of energy reached its peak. The humans guided it carefully, not to destroy but to demonstrate power. Ships drifted helplessly, shields failed, weapons were rendered useless. The council realized their mistake too late. They had underestimated Earth, underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. Elena stood with her team, awe in her eyes. "It's working," she whispered. "We're not attacking, but they understand we cannot be challenged." On the council ships, fear and respect replaced arrogance. Zorath stared at the helpless fleet, his mind racing. The ancient entity's warning rang louder than ever: "Do not challenge Earth. Do not provoke what you do not understand." The humans and the planet had proven themselves without firing a single destructive shot. The council learned a harsh lesson. True power was not measured by weapons alone. It was patience, intelligence, connection, and restraint. As the fleet began to retreat, still shaken and unsure, the humans watched silently. Earth's pulse remained steady, calm, yet stronger than ever. They had shown strength, and the council had understood the warning. But even in the calm there was tension. Deep beneath the planet's surface, energy pulses continued. They were not just defensive, they were a promise. A promise that Earth would remain protected, no matter what came from the stars. Thaler recorded his observations. "Humans and their planet are inseparable," he noted. "They are more than a civilization. They are a force. And the council has learned a lesson it will never forget." Lyria, communicating secretly with Elena, smiled faintly. "The warning has been delivered," she said. "And it has been understood. But this is only the beginning. Earth's story has only just begun." Above, the council fleet limped back into space, defeated without a true battle. Fear, respect, and confusion filled their minds. They had underestimated Earth, underestimated humans, and now the consequences of their arrogance were clear. The planet beneath them remained calm, yet its heartbeat pulsed stronger than ever. Humans could feel it, guiding them, preparing them for the future. And somewhere, in the vast darkness of space, the ancient entity watched silently, satisfied that the warning had been understood, for now. The galaxy had witnessed a new power, a force that was not only human but something far greater. And the story of Earth, its rise, its strength, its mysteries, was only beginning to unfold. The council fleet retreated slowly from Earth, battered, confused, and deeply shaken. Ships that had once been feared across the galaxy now limped back into space, powerless against a force they could not understand. Even the bravest council leaders were silent, staring at the blue planet below with a mixture of awe and fear. On Earth, Dr. Elena Reyes and her team stood on a cliff, watching the sky. The ships above shimmered as they disengaged their systems and pulled away. Humans had not fired a single weapon, yet they had proven their strength. The planet itself had defended them, and the council had learned the lesson without destruction. Elena felt a pulse beneath her feet, a rhythmic energy that seemed alive. "It's the planet," she whispered. "It's protecting us, guiding us." Lyria's message arrived in Elena's secure communicator. "The council will not return for a long time," it read. "They have learned caution, respect, and fear. You have shown restraint yet strength. This is a turning point. Humans are no longer to be underestimated." Far above, Thaler observed the retreating fleet from his station. He had hoped for understanding, but now he realized something more profound. Earth and its people were more than a civilization. They were a force of nature, a living power that the galaxy had long ignored. Back on Earth, strange phenomena continued, but now they seemed calm, orderly. The oceans shimmered with faint light, forests swayed in patterns that almost resembled signals, and the air itself seemed alive with energy. Humans were beginning to feel their connection, sensing that the planet itself was a partner, a protector, and a guide. Elena turned to her team. "We don't know all of it yet. But this is just the beginning." Her eyes gleamed with determination. Humans had survived countless challenges before, but now they faced the stars with a newfound understanding of their own potential. Meanwhile, deep in the council chambers, the remaining leaders debated in hushed tones. Many admitted that they had underestimated humans and Earth. Some spoke of punishment or revenge, but others argued for caution, remembering the power they had just witnessed. The council had learned humility, but the galaxy had not yet forgotten the lesson. High above, a faint shimmer appeared in space, unnoticed by most except for Thaler and Lyria. A signal, ancient and mysterious, pulsed faintly from the depths of the cosmos. It was a reminder that even as Earth had proven its strength, the universe was vast and other forces were watching. On Earth, humans continued their lives, unaware of the Council's retreat or the full magnitude of the battle they had just survived. Yet, subtle changes began to appear. Humans felt more aware, more in tune with the planet, sensing the energy that had protected them. Small experiments, small discoveries, revealed glimpses of the hidden power that lay beneath their feet. The ancient entity, silent for now, observed from the stars. Its warning had been heeded, but the story of Earth was far from over. There would be other challenges, other civilizations, other forces. But for now, Earth had proven itself. It had survived and it had grown stronger. Thaler's last report was simple but filled with respect and awe. Humans are no longer the weak, insignificant species the galaxy believed them to be. They are a force tied to a planet that itself is alive. To challenge them is to invite ruin. This warning will echo across the stars. Elena stood on the cliff once more, gazing at the horizon. The sun set over the oceans, painting the sky with gold and crimson. She could feel the pulse of the planet beneath her feet. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "We are ready for whatever comes next." And somewhere in the far reaches of the galaxy, beyond the sight of any human, a faint signal pulsed from the darkness. Something was watching. Something was waiting. Earth's story had only just begun. The universe had learned one undeniable truth. Underestimate Earth and you do so at your own peril.